Hi, everybody. Corrie Thorne, the spiritual healer, psychic medium, and life coach, coming back today to do podcast number 3 of Keeping It Real, of More Than Existing. Today, you'll see I am not alone on the screen. I do like to have another voice in with me because I'm sick of hearing myself talk. And so today we have Shauna Vogel. She is of the More Than Existing program. She is in her 4th level, taking her coach training right now. Shauna is also a Reiki master teacher. She's also has all of her training in all the angel courses through More Than Existing, through the Corrie School of Magic. And she also has her 3 levels of mediumship. And she is a mentor in More Than Existing program. And she is a woman of strength, courage, a mom, and she is a superwoman in our eyes. So we want to bring Shauna in with us today and allow her to be a part of the journey of keeping it real. This truly is about keeping it real. And in these podcasts, it is not the mediumship that I do. It's not passing on those messages. This is the real shit. This is us. This is where we came from. This is how we got here. And this is why we can no longer hide who we are, is that we just can't sit back and allow other people's insecurities or allow life, the world outside of us, to shadow over us. And we have to live in our truth to be who we really are, the good, bad, and the ugly, and all the above. So welcome, Shauna, and thank you for being here with me today. I'm so happy to have you. And I would love for you to tell everyone a little bit about Shauna and your why to More Than Existing.
Well, thank you for having me, Corrie. The being done, you speak about in so many different places, the being done, but the realizing that my life wasn't going anywhere and it had been exactly the same for a bunch of years in a row, and I could not bear for it to be the same this time next year, right? When everything in life is a cycle and a circle, but I was really stuck, and it was exactly the same as it was 8 years ago. And I just decided that, how embarrassing to be in exactly the same place. So I'm not going to hit 10 years and not have moved forward at all. So that's my why.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so when we started this journey, and I chuckle a little bit, but it was very serious. When we started this journey together, when Shauna found me and she discovered myself through my mediumship work, and I had been in her hometown working out of a hotel, still doing a lot of in-person sessions because we could interact. and so during that time I met her, Shauna came with such a big story, and she couldn't even see that she even had a big story. And I was in such awe of meeting this woman who felt so defeated. She was just deflated. Her energy was down. She was not feeling well. She come with a big book, and she was telling me how she wouldn't remember nothing, and how and all I could see of her was this beautiful energy. And I just said to her, I said, I could see, if you could see what I could see in you, you would see so much more. And what I was seeing in Shauna is what happens when I step in front of anyone to work with anyone, is that I see the reflection of, I have been there. I was there. All of us women at some point have been there in our lives, and men too. It's not that it's all about women, but it's that joy of being able to do what I do as a medium, to be able to help people heal, help people get the messages, but most of all, to be able to be a spiritual healer so that people can awaken to see beyond the stories that we use every single day. Right. And we use these stories every single day in our lives as these scripted lines of justifying why we are stuck or why we're staying in the misery that we're staying in. And so my mediumship work came about for Shauna. She was coming to get some guidance, and it was her deceased husband who had passed away who started to come through for us. And he came through giving shit. And I'm a physical medium, as Shauna is now. And and so he literally took over my body and started giving her shit about her life, about her life. And so out of that message, I could hear him say, This, who you're looking at is not her. That's not my wife. That's not the woman. That is not Shauna. She would be giving me shit. She would be doing this. She would be doing that. And I'm like, so we have a bullshit story, right? And we have a bullshit story, and we all have a bullshit story that we get stuck in, but it is real. It is real. It is painful. And it starts to become a truth that we believe so strong in conviction of a truth that we believe ourselves to be that weak, that, you know, that fearful. We get so caught in that sense of fear ego that we lose the essence, that we can't even remember who we used to be. It is like gone. And it's life. It's all the things that piled up on top, that piles up on top of us, that takes us to being there. So when I met her, the first thing I had said to Shauna was, I also have a neurological condition. I also have something that, you know, doctors told me to go home and just kind of let yourself go. Like, just don't work, don't do this, don't do that. It's just, eventually it's going to take over. And it was through my eyes then that she could start to see a little bit of hope, because sometimes that's what we need, is hope. So it is being called out on our bullshit, which spirit world, our guides do so well. Our loved ones from the other side do so well. And then it's seeing a glimmer of hope, to see the light in the dark. And I feel like for you, Shauna, that was a story of your kind of awakening, your comeback.
You're hitting all the high notes there. Like, that's exactly how it was, right? It's interesting that we're all defined by our stories, not necessarily by the outside world, but by the story we keep telling ourselves inside our head, right? So you just become that story on repeat over and over. And it really helped. Corrie really helped me to see it from like a different perspective. And the more people I've got to meet through Corrie's classes and my tribe of women that I now have met through Corrie's More Than Existing, you think when you're in it that you are the only one in the world that this stuff happens to. Like, you're alone and you not let anybody else in, and this happened and this happened and this happened. You know, the more people you get out there and talk to, everybody has gone through some really, truly horrific things. You're not the only one. And if you do think you're the only one that suffered this loss and this loss and this loss and this loss, no, there's actually, everybody else has too. So it's that piece of not feeling alone that really helped. And don't get me wrong, Corrie made me really super angry that day. Well, right, that's the first step to healing. Like, you don't want to hear get off, well, and it was my husband channeling through her, but you don't want to hear get off your ass and be somebody, right? Be who you used to be. Stop being this pathetic widow in a puddle in the corner. So that was, you know, that was the big kick in the ass, and the part of it, the beginning of, like, you have got to do something with your life, and you've got to start more than existing. Because that's really all it was. I was going through the motions. I was getting up, I was drinking coffee, hanging out all day, going to work, going to bed, like I wasn't doing anything outside that. So the messages I received from Corrie, from several of my departed loved ones, and then the opportunity to start taking classes with Corrie, to recognize who I even was, to remember who I was, or be someone other than that story. Because it's hard when you're living your life, and the people you know and have known since before, say, the tragedies happened, they know you as that, and they accept that you're like the sad widow, or the, you know, the mom who lost a child, or whatever it is, right? They accept you as that sad, pathetic lump, and nobody requires any more of you. So that meeting Corrie was a blessing, and it's required more of me.
Right. So it's, and this is, you know, it's when I'm looking in the eyes, and when we're seeing through the eyes of these women, and I think they can never go back to who they used to be. There's no way. And it's like, and all the people that either accept that this is now who they are, and we just have to accept that this is all we're going to get out of them. It's like, well, it's not our job to make that happened for them, or to force them beyond that thought or beyond that life. And grief is a process, and we never leave the grief behind. We learn to exist within that story by creating new realities, by leaving the story. And so when not all spirit comes through like her husband, it's like they show me their identity, how he would have treated her, how he would have been with her, how he would have given her that shit, is how he came through. And I'm sitting back going, holy crap, what the hell? Like, here I am sitting with this poor woman who can barely hold her head up and had gone through major brain issues on top of everything else. She had to go through major problems with it was a tumor or a stroke?
Brain bleed, so like a
Brain
stroke.
bleed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a stroke. And so it's like, and so she had gone through this major, and that's all stress. Like her whole body, her mind, when we are that defeated in life and we just want to be done, we just can't even take another moment, everything starts to shut down on us. And so that whole need to see her is like he was making me look at something inside of Shauna and say, and I see movie reels. So he was showing me reels of her life and showing me the strength and courage it had taken to get through everything else in her life. And that she was this pillar of strength for him. She was the idol. So she was idolizing him in his passing and feeling guilty and shameful and sad, all these other things that we get, and pissed off at him, very pissed off at him. And then he was showing me images of how she was always keeping the family together, how she was always keeping the shit together, how she was always doing those things. And he's saying, you need to bring her forth. You need to help her bring that person forth in a new version. And so it was finding that sense of, we are not here to just exist. We're here to live for our loved ones. We're here to, they want us to live because we still have an opportunity. As long as we have a breath, we have an opportunity. And I said to Shauna, I'm like, you have a breath. And if you have a breath, you have an opportunity. So with an opportunity, anything can happen. But you have to make a commitment. You have to be willing. I can't sit here and get involved in the same pity party everyone else is in with you, because I will be a part of the problem instead of helping you be a part of the solution. And that's the whole key, is not to become a part of the problem, because the pain is real and we can't take away the pain. But the misery we continue to stay in becomes choices that we choose out of all of the other stories that we're telling ourselves, that then become our truth, becomes that reality, right, that we're now living in. And we don't want to see anything else. We don't want to see another side of the story. We don't want to create a new story, because this then becomes the comfortable, and it's working for us because no one else is bothering us. They're letting us stay the way that we are. Well, I became like the bothersome energy that became like a bit of an addiction, because she knew it started to feel different. It was a relationship that was feeling different. I'm her life coach. I'm her, I wasn't going to tell her what to do. I was asking her questions, and I was asking her to look in the mirror, and I was asking her to remember good times. I was asking her to tell me things about Shauna. And that was so important because Shauna started to matter.
I did start to matter, which it had been a very long time since I had. Then grief is a process, and it is legitimate, and it does go on forever. But one of the things that either Corrie said to me or Randy said to me through Corrie was, like, you didn't stop living the day I died, right? You were still there. Get your shit together and keep living, because if you don't think I would like to be there, right? It's, that was a boot in the ass. And the whole, just about everything Corrie said to me made me angry. But that's how you know you need to heal that, right? Is the anger. My first reaction was anger, even the stop living in the misery. I get that now. And I would prefer not to live in the misery. But at the time when Corrie was, stop living in your misery, that just infuriated me, because, like, I don't have a choice. Yes, you do. You have a choice. It's how you look at it and how you feel about it, and having to start looking at yourself and looking for yourself again, because everybody in my life was just there in that and letting me wallow in it and Corrie calling me out and not letting me wallow anymore, like that was the first step. You have to look at yourself and start being somebody other than the grieving widow, because really, like 30 years of the grieving widow, that's going to get old for sure. Is that really who you want to be and who you want to be known as? No.
And there's a great opportunity when we start to move in that forward direction of what else can I do? You know, how can I be of service to another woman? How can I help somebody else? How can my story? And so Shauna stepping into the More Than Existing program and into the school, and was the level 1 is self-actualization. It's all about us. It's all about what we're going to do. And then it's the mirror reflection that we start to feel for ourselves. And then you remember the times when you made everything okay that really wasn't okay, that in other people's behaviors and in life and what we've done to ourselves. And then we go through a healing process. And then we start to awaken to the fact by the time we're hitting level 4 is that I could use this experience as jet fuel. I can start to turn this into something where I can help other women, where we get to snowball this energy out there. And imagine the people we can help. Imagine not just women, men too. More Than Existing right now is only set up for women, but it is being branched out. And so, but when we expand it out and think now of all the women that we've helped, all the people that we can give that help to, all the people that now you're courageous enough to be able to speak to. And in level 1, I talk about bravery and courage. And I'm like, often bravery is being a part of a pack, and you get in a pack and you all put your armor on and you prepare and you make a plan and you're like, okay, we're going to go to war. We're going to battle this. We're going to conquer this. Courage is take everything off. Walk past the fear. Allow your shadow to walk through your light of love. And for the true you to step forward in the light, no guard, no protection, not being a part of the packness, not waiting to see who's going to say what or who's going to be where, and say, that's enough. There's another opportunity. Why are we at war here? Why are we fighting ourselves on this? Why are we getting these little groups and we get together for coffee and we talk about our misery, we talk about our problems, we talk about, we bash this one, we bash that one. Why are we doing that? What this out here, this standing out here, courageously standing here saying, there's a better way to heal. That's not healing. This is healing. Healing is to stand here in this light and be able to say, you know what? Look, I have done this. I have been there. I'm conquering this. I'm taking this journey. I'm doing these things for me. You only get guided and you're given tools and everything else is in your own lap, right? It's like having that courage to look in a new direction, go to the top of the hill and look over instead of looking back. It's like, look over. You can glance over your shoulder and just say, holy fuck, I survived a lot of stuff, right? But it's what we see here, the opportunities of what we can do. And even so much as Shauna being a mentor now, and how many people Shauna has spoken to, even on some of the lives she's done for More Than Existing, and how her message resonates in such a big way. And I wanted Shauna in here today because Shauna's message does resonate. And there's so many people that are now saying, I am not alone.
No, you're never alone, right? You think you are, but you need to take some kind of step to reach out so that you're not alone. And that is one of the things that I learned earlier on with Corrie, was that, sure, you can go for coffee with all the same people and they will allow you to bitch and cry and moan and bemoan things. But she's right, that does not get you anywhere. You need to talk about more positive things if that's what you want to be going on in your life. To just keep reliving that over and over and over keeps you stuck in that, and you don't think you can find anything good to discuss outside of that. But that's just what you think. Once you actually take a step towards being around people who are more positive and working on yourself, More Than Existing is asking yourself a lot of really hard questions and getting to know yourself, because even when things are going good and you're living the life and you're married and you're whatever, most of us women, or lots of us, give ourselves up, or pieces of ourselves up, to be in that relationship, to be that mom, to be that, to play the roles, to be that employee. You keep your mouth shut and you let stuff go on, or you don't set a boundary, or, right? So when you start getting to know who you are again and start respecting that, then you find who you are, and that stuff wouldn't be acceptable again. You'd never set things up the same way again because you found out who you are. Yeah. And the whole, when we started, I will tell everybody this, the whole, when we started More Than Existing, and I'm really grateful that we did this before COVID started. Oh my God. Because it's been my lifeline, and I live somewhere where not everybody else, mostly everybody else doesn't live, right? So I still kind of am by myself in the More Than Existing thing. And we were set up to have Zoom classes once a week. And, you know, you're sitting there with 11 or 14 or 10 other women. And I went in there thinking, Jesus, we're just going to be online. And it's just like, how do you get to know people when you're just some random picture on the screen? And I don't know, that really surprised me, because these women are my soulmates and my best friends. They have always got your back. It doesn't matter what ridiculous thing you think you have for a problem. There's always somebody there to reach out to. Somebody will always answer you any time of night or day. And it's not the negative, oh yeah, that really sucks. It's always something uplifting or something to reframe it and look at it a different way. And that really, really helps.
Right. That was Shauna's big issue. She was like, well, how you ever going to meet anybody in here? This is just stupid.
Right? Well, I live up here all by myself. None of you women are up here. That's just stupid. No, it wasn't just stupid. Get over yourself and get used to it. And yeah, you get to know people.
Yeah.
We had a small group yesterday in my level 4 mastermind group. Like, we got together yesterday for practice coaching. And one of my soul sisters, she called out a bunch of stuff, and I was just, I didn't know you knew me that well. Like, she was like, it was just funny because something had come up and she knew that having to take a test would upset me, and she had good questions about that. And it was really funny. She called me out on like all my stuff, all my resistance. I'm like, oh, Krista, that was good. You called me out on that. Who knew that somebody could get to know you that well when you've only met in person 3 times in the last year and a half, 2 years? You do get to know people, right? Community can be anything. It doesn't have to be in person like I thought it would. Don't get me wrong. Physical presence is nice, but if you can't have that,
next best thing to physical presence.
Right. It is.
Yeah. And it's so funny because that is the big thing when everybody's coming in and nobody wants to get on screen. Nobody wants to be seen. I'm like, get up here. And my big thing is get over yourself. Like, it's like, get over yourself. You're not that damn special to stay in this, like, that we're going to give you that kind of treatment. Like,
yeah, right.
We're equal. Like, we're all equal here. It's like, there's no one who's got a bigger problem. There's no one who got any less of a problem. Everyone is validated and worthy of whatever you were experiencing. And we don't know until we know. And when we wake up and we start to become awake and aware, well, now we're responsible, right? And so once we're responsible, then it's like, just come on. What are you going to do today? How are you going to do this? With still a loving little virtual little hug that's happening. But it's just knowing that. And it's kind of been how I've been my whole life. And it's like, not everybody likes that fact that I am that kind of person that just says, you know what?
Get over yourself. Yeah.
Get over yourself. But you need to, it's like, we're not going to solve this by staying in this. And I fight hard for my life. And I've watched you fight hard for your life. And I've watched the struggles. And this is what I would say to everybody. We still haven't perfected it. We don't come on here. We don't perfect it. We don't, and I always say, it's like, people say, oh, you still look so young. And I'm like, yeah, I work hard at myself, but I have a great freaking light in front of me. I have a great camera in front of me. There, no matter what in life, you have to do the add-ons. You have to amplify, you have to experience life the way it is, but you have to remember you have all the tools to help you in those times. And when you don't remember those tools, you have support. When you put yourself with people who are truly on the same mission, the same desire to more than exist, then we don't get caught in being only on one side the story. We're willing to budge and move and change that story and to make a change and to look in different directions. And we don't close our door to, you know, if you're this or if you're that, or only if you align to this or you align. No, we come together. And it's like, this is a come together community, because community should be able to have our own minds. And I always say, if I'm not ever touching your freaking willpower, you got a choice to choose, you choose. You're going to show up to class, you show up. You're going to do the homework sheets, you do it. Anything in your life, what do you want to do? What are you going to do? Because whatever you do, that decision is now on you. You're not laying your shit over on me because I spent a lifetime having shit laid on me. It's
Right? That's
right.
good.
And I'm like, so this is your life, and what are you going to do about it? Right. And so it's even on our worst days, we actually talk to our own selves that way now. And you find yourself, I'm willing to bet, Shauna, even on, because we're not perfect and because we have shitty ass days, we have real days, and we have days when we fall all the way back and then we got to climb all the way back up again. It's like, because real life does happen.
Real life does happen. And when you find, it's with the awareness piece that you're at least aware of your bad habits now. And if you have a bad day and you fall back down all the way to the leaky puddle on the floor, you recognize it, you're aware, and so it only lasts for 20 minutes instead of a week and a half. And then you pry yourself up and you start over. And a huge thing, and this is huge for women or men, people who think that they have to be strong and have this all to yourself. You think it's only happening to you, and you have to buck it up and be strong and deal with it yourself. The piece to be vulnerable enough to reach out and tell somebody, I'm really struggling, I'm having a shitty day, you got 10 minutes? That's huge, and that's life-saving. And nobody will ever say no to you in our community, in our tribe. And if whoever you reached out to is like in the middle of something and can't help you, there will be someone else. And they'll make sure that there's someone else there to talk to you for 10 minutes. But it's the awareness piece and having to get over that somebody's going to rescue you. Oh my God, nobody's ever going to rescue you. You got to be your own hero and rescue your own damn self. Because waiting for somebody to rescue, you're going to be in your puddle on the floor forever. That's a lot of responsibility to have to rescue somebody else. Who wants to do that?
Right. We're not here to rescue. We're not, you know, it's like you have to be the hero of your own story. You have to be your own savior. You have to remember, as I write in my 4th book, and I write about what if I'm God? It's like, and I said, you know, as a kid, my mother used to say to me, "Who do you think you are, God?" And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I am. And it's like, you are that light. It's like we are, when we return to grace, when we return to walking in grace, and we talk about this, and it's like, we don't care what anyone's belief is, but there's a belief system of truth that I know of, that we all have a light. And that light never dies until we leave this earth. And as long as it's shining, we have an opportunity. And worry and trying to control and place expectations upon everyone out there in that real world to make us happy, or to comfort our insecurities, or for everyone else to change everything about who they are so that we can be comfortable in our own insecurities so that we don't have to change, is pretty egotistical. And it's like, and to be able to move beyond that and to be able to step into this essence of, well, if I have a light and I still have a breath and I have an opportunity, and no one else is saving me, and I don't have any expectations up on anyone, and I can learn, I can discover the habits that keep me from surrendering over the past, then if I can learn to recognize how much my life is conditioned to the stories I've heard, to the roles I've played, to how I've been protecting myself, or how I've been living in my, you know, in my survivor story of just getting by in life. If I can look at all of those things, I now have an opportunity to also look at this little light of mine, as I call it. It's like, so if I can look at this little light of mine, I can look at all the things that I do to shadow over that light. I can look at the shadows, the pieces of me that I can say, thank you for protecting me, but now you have to go to the back, and now I have to do this. And I'm not 5. I always say, are you 5? Are you 12? Or are you, 40 something years old? Are you like, I'm almost 50?
I'm acting like a 5-year-old or an angry 2-year-old, but yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so I've often said that, Shauna. I'm like, how old
Even
are
your
you?
2-year-old. Stop that tantrum. Yeah, nobody wants to hear that either, but that's exactly what's going on. Wherever you're feeling discomfort when you're trying to more than exist and move forward and learn stuff and look at yourself, if it's making you uncomfortable, that means growth is happening, and you need to look at that. And why am I resisting that? Why is that making me so damn uncomfortable? And you either have the choice to look at it and figure that out, or like pretend that's not happening and don't move forward and don't grow. But it is all you. It's like with everything, it's how much work you choose to put into it. And Corrie, nobody else is there to go, okay, well, you're going to do your worksheets today. No, it's up to you. It's something you have to do for yourself and commit to. Maybe you don't want to do it today because you're having a 2-year-old tantrum, but tomorrow morning when you're a grown-up, you can get back on the I love myself and I'm going to look at some things train. Right. And the struggle bus is real. One of our sisters says that. And it's okay to not be okay. Like just because you're working on yourself and trying to be happier and getting out of the pity party misery story and wanting to move forward, some days are just shitty. And that's okay. As long as the shitty doesn't roll over to the next 8 years.
Exactly. As long as it don't roll to the next 8 years. It's like we're gonna have shitty times, and because of course I only live real, raw, and vulnerable. I tell my whole stories that these girls have seen me in some of my worst in the past couple of years, because I also had to give up my 30-year career as a hairdresser and fully step into embracing this journey full time, and all the changes that came with that, and the health issues and the things that also are still real, because there's no pretending. There's no pretending it's not real. It's saying, I'm dealing with it. There's shit to be done. You got to find its way. It's like, and then you just truly know that that's when you're being honest with life. It's like there's an honesty, right? And it's like you got to get honest with yourself. And when you get honest with yourself, you get honest with what you're doing to your own self. And when you get honest to what you're doing to your own self, then you stop laying so much blame out into the world. Then you start taking response. Then you start looking for opportunities to be able to make changes. And then you truly make changes. It's those action steps. And they only happen when we actually can be really honest with ourselves. And that whole More Than Existing, the book, was written based on me having to get honest with myself and my stories and telling myself some truth that I probably didn't want to hear, right? And that's how many things do we not want to hear come from our own lips. And it's like, and I say, once it comes over your lips, sometimes you just need to spill it out. And when somebody is venting, it don't mean they mean what they're saying in the moment. It's just like that diarrhea of the mouth. It just all comes out. And when it hits the heart, then you process it. And as you process that, you think, how much more of that do I do on a day-to-day basis that spews out into the world that I leave attached onto somebody else? That I leave out there in the world, that I'm not even consciously making an effort to even explore the why behind what that actually means, or the anger, or the frustration, or whatever it is. And then because we spend so much time in that, and then when we return to the heart, we actually get a dream desire to actually learn and discover, well, what does love look like? What does happiness look like? What would peace look like? What would it look like if I was free? What would it look like if I found a sense of peace in my life? What will it take for me to take these steps? What will it take for me to do this?
Not wanting to look at and answer those questions is that you don't really want to move forward and make the change and have it be better. It's the self-worth thing. And it is really worth asking yourself, even if you don't know the answer, ask yourself the question. The answers will percolate down, right? that was part of my problem is I have real trouble with needing an immediate answer. Like somebody asks me a question and I don't know what the answer is. I freeze because I'm like, oh, I should have an answer. Everybody has an answer to that. You need to ask the question and look at the behavior. And even if you can't answer it, it's there working away in the background, in the back of your mind. And the answers will pop up. Or someone will say something to you and you'll suddenly have, oh my God, the light bulb moment where now that all connects.
Yeah, the ahas, right? The aha moments. And I always say, give yourself 24 hours. You don't have to answer everything right now. Even if someone asks you a question or asks you to do something, or just say, I need time. And it's like, and that's our whole life, is sometimes we just need time. And so Shauna had 8 years, so she didn't have time to waste anymore.
No, we had to get on with it. Enough wasting time.
Yeah, because she had 8 years of where she was living, and she had a lifetime. She had a lifetime of losing a lot of people in her life. Shauna's one of those people. Shauna's one of those people who have lost a lot of people that are really close. She's lost, a sister, a brother, a father, a husband, and then her own illnesses on top of that, and a cousin, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your bestest
cousin.
friend. That's right. And so it's like, and so there's a lot of things that she could say, I'll choose to just live in this misery. But she didn't. She did one thing right. She reached out.
Mm.
And the moment she reached out was the moment everything started to change.
Absolutely.
And from there, and now we see that this woman actually has the craziest, funniest, sarcastic-y personality ever, with the funniest laugh, and she just knows how to inspire people. When we have our live events that we invite people to come to, when we're allowed to have them, she stood up in the middle of that whole group and was just like this voice of inspiration. And I started to laugh, and I'm like, who is this woman? And where was she hiding? And she had on her kick-ass boots and then we discover she rides motorcycle and she rides sleds and snowmobile, and she does all this outdoor adventuring. She goes into the mountains. She's all this stuff that she used to do. And now she's riding again, and now she's living again, and now she's breathing again. And I mean breathing. I don't mean just like taking a breath. I mean like she's literally breathing again.
Yeah, right? Breathing in the life.
Right. And so this is a face of a woman who wasn't just brave, who was courageous, who courageously made a choice to leave an unhealthy situation that she was placing her own self in, by a choice to choose. One right choice after all the bad choices truly starts to lead to 1,000 beautiful choices and opportunities. And as a dog chokes behind, this is what we call keeping it real. And so for Shauna, if you could give everyone out there like a message of inspiration, just like you do when Shauna stands up, what is something you would tell everyone out there?
That you are worthy, and to reach out and to reach beyond who you usually reach out to. The girlfriends you sit and gossip and bitch and complain with, they're probably not the ones who are going to save you when you reach out. Reaching out is not weakness. It is something that's going to save you. And it doesn't negate everything you've been through just because you're moving forward, right? My whole, the 8 years of misery and patheticness wasn't really all for naught. Don't get me wrong, I wish it hadn't been that long. But you learn stuff from that. And the reaching out and the being able to take a step forward and look back on that with compassion for yourself and what that person was going through. Yeah, it's really just reach out. Let your being vulnerable is hard, really hard, but it's important. So taking down the wall that you live behind and reaching out to someone and letting them see who you are and see who you hurt. And that way you see who you really are. It's about reaching out and learning about yourself. I ignored finding stuff out about myself for a really long time because I didn't want to know. And now that I know stuff about me, I like her a whole bunch better.
Right. I've loved her from the moment I've met her.
Aw, thank you.
You're welcome. She's very, Shauna is someone who's just been a blessing, and to have her in my life and to see how my life is filled with such women of who are real, who are not perfect, who are truly but inspiring and doing everything they can to live a better life. It really goes to show that, you know what, sometimes you have to break away from all of your old self and allow your world to fill up with women and men relationships that are healthy. And that one first starts with you.
It sure does. And the creative and powerful that the women I've met who are they're so powerful in their own energy, in their own feminine, who they are, and they're so creative. Their passions and the things they do and follow and are doing to be of service of others, right? That they're able to reach out and offer whatever you are, Reiki master or your little side business of whatever it is, but it's reaching out to people. They're so creative, they're so powerful, they're so awesome. And that's what you get when you let the real you out.
When she starts to shine, right? Mm-hmm. And so when she starts to shine, and in those shining moments, I said our lowest moments are our most defining moments, and our shining moments become our most rewarding moments. Right. And once we see the reward is actually that you finally got a healthy relationship, and that's you. Mm. When you start to have that healthy relationship, because the one person you can't get away from is you. Yeah, you can't leave you. You can't leave you. You don't get, unless you get to leave until the day we get to leave here. In the meantime, we're stuck with this person that we are. And when we can have a beautiful relationship, it's amazing, because then all the other relationships that start to come into our lives really, truly start to align. And we lose that sense of wanting to be on that anger bus and that struggle bus a whole lot less. And we're like, no, I want to get on the fun party bus. Mm-hmm. I want to get on to one over there where they're having a good time, where they're saying nice things to each other and they're being kind to each other. That's the bus I want to get on. And I want to stay over there. And I want to go that direction. And that's us traveling. So, and Shauna's on her way out into this world in a bigger way. And, she's taking her time and allowing herself to do what she needs to do her healing journey, along with gaining all the wisdom, knowledge, education that she has, and advancing in so many levels. And I look forward to see where Shauna goes and where Shauna takes us next. She is in level 4 of More Than Existing. She's taking the coach training program, being a light worker coach, so that we can all send more and more lights out there that are like lights that can draw people in to be a light saver, not a life saver. Because the only one saving ourselves to save our lives is us. We have to be the hero of our own story, without a doubt.
You don't want it to be, you think it would be easier if someone else would do it, but somebody is not going to do it.
No.
And healing is also like grief. Don't be thinking that you're going to go out there and like heal yourself and be healed. That is also a process, and it's layers. You heal surface stuff, and then you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and you get to the root of what it really is. So being healed is a goal you're working towards, but I don't think it's something you're ever going to 100% be. You've always got something to work on and heal and move forward from. Not in a negative way.
No.
Like you just digging up more stuff that you can be rid of and you can heal, and you can let your own self and your own light shine through now that you're done with that attachment. We're done with this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
If you've already lived it, why do you want to live it again? Right? If you already experienced that, why would you want to go back? And I work as a past life healer. I can tell you, I don't take you back to the same old story. That's not how past life healing goes. You see and feel the sense of what it felt like, what it feels like to be in that kind of energy. Mm-hmm. And so the whole story, how we reel it out, is like watching a movie. And yours is, life is all the stories that we create and we choose to live beyond the fated moments. The fated moments are as real could frickin' be. And some of the moments, like staying in unhealthy relationships or making a choice to allow ourselves to keep continuing to do the same thing over and over, even though we know it's not good for us. It's like, those are things that we make a choice and we choose to do. And that goes back to conditioning and a belief in ourselves and being so determined sometimes to fix somebody. We're going to make somebody a better person. We're going to prove to the world that I can do this, that I'm not going to be a failure. But all you're trying to do is you're trying to justify to somebody your worth again, or that you're good enough, or that you have what it takes. And if we just let go, needing to be liked, needing to prove anything, needing the world to validate our worth, if we let go of all of that, it's amazing how much more peace we can find and we can live in. And we start to enjoy the journey of more than existing. And so Shauna is one of the women who gets to be a part of the more than existing journey. And this book is a book of love. It is a book of truth. It's to the point. It is not a book that's filled with fluffy love stories. We kind of took all of that out and we said, let's just get to the point of getting real. Let's just say it how it is that everybody that picked on me as a kid really weren't out to destroy my life. Every moment that ever happened to me wasn't somebody out to get me. Everything that happened, what was happening for those people. And so it's through the eyes of my so-called enemy, I see me. And that is the story. The so-called enemy, the biggest critic that we have is ourselves. And through that, and through a massive, messy kind of judgment that had happened, and I thought, how dare somebody speak of me that way? And then I stopped and I paused and I'm like, how dare I speak of myself this way? How dare I speak to anyone else this way? How dare that be okay anywhere? And that moment started to change everything. And that statement that Shauna speaks about is, I am done. And in the conviction, I am done, it was, I'm going to find joy and happiness no matter the cost. And it's that investment that we make into ourselves. And what I often say in the book is that the dictionary's version of joy and happiness really truly is like the dictionary was lying to us, because it's nothing like what we think it is, and it's nothing like what we had hoped it was going to be. It's like, stop watching the soap opera stories and start living in the reality, right? Yeah. In the truth of that, no one writes the script of your life but you. And you'll have things that will sideswipe you and throw you in. But when you're strong in your core and in your essence, you know when to be courageous enough to walk forward and to walk back into that light. Thank you for joining me today. It's always a pleasure. Shauna is a joy in this world, and she is an inspiration. And she's proof that no matter what, you still have an opportunity.
Every morning you get up is an opportunity, and I didn't like that when I first heard it either, but it's the truth.
She didn't like a lot of things I would tell her.
No, I did not. But
yeah,
every day is a new day.
Shauna spent a lot of time rolling her eyes at me,
mm-hmm.
but she's now she's laser focused, and still real, still in reality, still in her truth, and still in her moments, and still thriving, and getting through this COVID and all the other things that go with it, and having to make some big decisions in her life. But now she has tools. So thank you for being with me today. Thank you for being there always. And anyone who wants information about More Than Existing, about Corrie School of Magic, where More Than Existing happens, and all the other courses that are there, or the book, all in the link that's below. So just go into the link below and you can get all the information that you want. And we are always going to be here on YouTube and Facebook Live and those places. And these women if you come into the More Than Existing, you will always find them. They are mentors in the More Than Existing program. So thank you, Shauna. Thank you for being here, and much love to everybody. Bye-bye.